Hey guys, welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe and I'm joined by Nathan, and this is the start of a of a little mini series we're doing where we're watching all the One Piece movies, which the character designs came from Oda. I would usually say the story was written by Oda as well, but not all of them are completely written by him. And the first of this series, we are watching Strong World.
One Piece film, Strong World.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one, there's been, if you do or you don't know One Piece movies, the first 9 movies were all basically non-canon. Definitely, like, they're all like no designs were actually drawn by Oda. It was just bunch of movies.
It was all just Toei, from what I understand, and then they struggled because they didn't do well. So then, from what I've heard, the producer for this film was like, right, we got to do something about it. I can't have this film flop. So then he went and asked Oda to help with the story.
And arguably, this is one with a villain that actually sticks around for like a fair bit of the lore of One Piece, the backstory. Shiki, he's the main villain here, and he's actually like he's in part of Rox's crew. Bit of spoiler there. And then he's there.
Oh my god, I can't believe you just said that.
I'm gonna say this now as well. I probably will be talking about current spoilers in the what's happening in the One Piece manga as well, just because there's certain things I want to bring up in this episode that relate to Shiki.
All the anime only people, you're gonna get spoiled.
But I'll do my best to flag those spoilers before it comes on. But anyway, Strong World. Do you want to give a rundown of what this is, Nathan, before we get further into it?
Yes. One Piece film Strong World, written by Eiichiro Oda and Hirohiko Uesaka, animated by Toei Animation, released December 12th, 2009, runtime of 115 minutes. Straw Hat pirates must save their navigator and stop the legendary pirate Golden Lion Shiki from conquering East Blue. Thank you, IMDb.
Nice, thank you for that. So, Strong World. It is. I've always said it's my favorite One Piece film, and I haven't watched it for a while. So it's been like at least over 10 years since I watched it. There's been subsequent One Piece films that come out since then. Obviously, we've got a few more to go watching the series. Going back and watching it is an interesting experience, and this is the first time you've watched this at all, Nathan, correct?
It's the first time I've watched this film. It's the first time I've watched any One Piece movie. So, it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on it before I start going in on my spoilers and my thoughts on this movie?
Fair. I really liked this film. I thought it was quite fun. I thought the stakes were quite good for the time period it's set in.
Yes.
I am for One Piece manga only, so it's very strange anytime I experience a different type of One Piece media and go back in time. So they're a lot weaker than I remember. It's like it's like when I try to restart playing Pirate Warriors 3, and obviously it's from Romance Dawn, so you're just like, man, they're like weak. They don't really do anything. They can't really do much. And this is an example of that. Like, it's not that they're weak, but I'm just like, wow, that's so nostalgic. You know, like Luffy's going like gear 3rd and gear 2nd. You know, like Jet Gatling and all these like Gigante Elephant Gun, and I'm just like, what? I haven't heard these names in forever.
Yeah, it is a mad throwback. Seeing him go gear 2nd and it being like, oh, he means business, but he's in gear 2nd.
Yeah, right. Or like when he's like, he does gear 3rd and then he complains that it's like, oh man, being in this form after that is so annoying. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that happens. Forgot he basically becomes a kid.
Yeah,
it's been so long. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, what? Forgot all these things just happened.
Yeah, because like you haven't like obviously you've read One Piece, but you've never gone
Yeah.
back and like reread it or anything, have
No, I
you?
haven't.
Like,
I haven't gone back.
yeah, yeah,
The only time I ever do is like if I happen to play one of the games and they happen to go
yeah.
back or something. Like when I played Odyssey like last
Hmm.
year, and it was like, oh, we got the memories of Alabasta, and I was like, whoa, I remember all of this. This is crazy. Look at all I
Yeah,
remember that. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's a
It's a
weird nostalgia
nostalgic kind of
trip.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
I guess because like
strange.
that's one thing because it's probably been like how many years? Like over 10 years since you've even gone back to actually looking
Yeah.
at that content in itself as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot in it. But yeah, it's Strong World's one of those ones where again, like any anime movie, the plot is set up like, oh, this villain turns up, he wants to do something
Yeah.
weird. Sometimes he's a little bit like it's a bit of a curveball, like they make an alliance with him, and then turns out they're actually evil. This is kind
Yeah.
of follows that chain of story. That's the story it follows. They save Shiki from flying into a fucking massive cyclone. They warn him, and then he's like, "Oh, who's your navigator? Oh, it's you. I want you on my crew." And then basically kidnaps Nami. Basically forces her to
Yeah.
join his crew. Attacks like all. Basically, shit goes down from there. Basically, and this is bear in mind, Golden Lion Shiki is a villain that is pitched to be on the same level and same generation as Garp and Roger and like
Yes.
Whitebeard. And this is the one thing about it which I again, when this movie was made in 2009, I could understand that it again, at that time when I was watching as well, I loved it. I thought it was like the animation was
Mm.
cool, the fights were cool. It was good to see Shiki. He actually felt like quite a good villain. Um, but here's the bit that I struggle on now. And again, I love this film back when I first watched it.
Mhm.
I do not think this film has aged well at all.
Wow, interesting.
I I have like it, and that is currently because of what is in the manga. We're right now where the manga is, like right now, like at time of recording, we're getting a backstory of the Rocks pirates, and we're like there's stuff with Roger going down. We're looking at God Valley,
Yeah.
and we're seeing the level of what the Rocks pirates are at. We're seeing Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido. Like at the time in pre-time skip, those are the three of the four emperors there. Like
Also,
they're
granted,
up there.
even right now, we haven't seen the full extent of all of those people's abilities.
Exactly. Yeah. So like this is one thing we're seeing. And then Shiki is also part of Rox's crew here.
Mhm.
Like so at this point, I'm putting bear in mind, yeah, there probably are like different power scaling characters. Yeah, maybe Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido were stronger than Shiki at that point. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were on the same level. I'm not entirely sure on that. What
Mhm.
I am certain of is that Shiki was a legendary pirate
Ye.
and one that feels like he should be on the same level as Kaido, Whitebeard, and Big Mom. However, in this, no matter how cool it looks, he gets taken down by pre-time skip Luffy.
That is true.
And that means that you had a legendary pirate taken out by
That's
someone
quite a fall from grace.
that is a massive fall from grace. And my head canon is saying he's only targeting the East Blue and all these irons in the East Blue because he can't go to the New World and start like messing with Whitebeard, Big Mom, or Kaido because he gonna get wiped. He knows he's gonna get wiped. That's why he's gone the East Blue to pick on them lot.
Yeah, but that's because he had to lose his legs. He's on swords now.
That's no excuse. Come on. He's targeting the East Blue. And I'm trying to justify why he was beaten by Luffy pre-time skip. And obviously, I'm gonna put plot outside of this because it is plot at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Like, and arguably in 2009, Oda probably hadn't written Shiki to be like
that
as
level
big as
yet.
those characters. Yeah, he
Yeah.
probably hadn't like fleshed out Rox's backstory as of that point. So it's one of those things. This is why I think it doesn't age well, rather than I'm hating on the plot of it. Because at that
Fair.
time, intentions are great. Like Shiki again, I think is actually a really fun villain. He's got that weird comedy with him. He has
Yeah,
his two major guys with him who are basically a gorilla and a clown, and they go into this kind of like weird like manzai performance every now and then where they do like,
they
what?
do.
I thought you were my grandmother. And they're like, you don't know what your
Oh,
grandmother looks like.
or like when they first walk in as a group and they do a dance routine, and I fucking
Yeah,
love that dance routine. It's so random. I don't know why they did it, but I love it. Absolutely loved
it
it.
feels it feels very JoJo Part 5 in the fact that it's like
It kind of does, and then it's the fact that like Shiki's also like, "Hey, baby chan,"
yeah.
like he does this
uh,
dance and then he fucking walks over and he's called it baby chan, baby doll. Like he's just like, what is
yeah.
this man? What is this man? Walking around on fucking swords, like
He's so like of his time, I feel like, and like again, it's funny, and I kind of want to justify the reason why he lost to Luffy. Probably is because of the, because he does have those was it the stuff on his face in it where it looks
mm,
like he was infected by the same thing as some of the that one of the village's grandmothers was infected with, and obviously he started hoarding all the flowers to cure that kind
yeah,
of stuff. So I feel like maybe maybe he's like on death's door and he's like he's also just not aged that well because Whitebeard arguably isn't at his prime even in like Marineford. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like prime Whitebeard was when he was fighting Roger, and obviously he's not at that level at Marineford, but he still puts up a pretty good fight, right?
yeah. Very true, very true.
So like, but this is the one thing as well. Like Kaido and Big Mom are kind of like two of the emperors, which do feel like they haven't lost their thing as of yet. They're still like at the time of post time skip. They're quite.
Yeah.
they haven't lost their prime. You know what I mean? Like Kaido feels like he was just
Well,
doing whatever. He was flying around as a dragon. Yeah,
Kaido would have been probably in his prime.
yeah. At that point, like it feels like
Well, because by the time you get to Wano, like he's still like known as one of the most unbeatable beings out there, right? So like
mhm.
for Kaido,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
probably was his prime.
Yeah, and like Big Mum is just like she's very dependent on her power. There's a lot of stuff that goes down with Big Mum
Yeah,
where you're like she can like change her form and stuff like that. She has all these things that she can summon. Hers is a lot more reliant on her devil fruit. And arguably Whitebeard is there and he does his thing. Like he was epic in Marineford, and it was obviously a
mm.
great story that came through there. The plot on that was fantastic.
And all that time, Shiki was just getting sick.
Yeah, and this is the one thing. It's like Shiki just feels like a proper like you said, a fall from grace. He doesn't feel this film feels like it does him a disservice. Like imagine if like they redid the whole Shiki thing, but did it now where One Piece currently is.
Mm.
Like you could see there being a lot more like potential for Shiki, you know what I mean?
He would have been a much more difficult enemy. Basically, like if they did it this film now,
Hmm.
he'd be one of those enemies that's like, unless you know Haki, you're fucked. No Haki, no
Yeah,
win.
it's that's it. Yeah, and like that's one thing. Obviously, this is before all the hockey stuff really
Yeah,
came in as well. So there's like barely any use of it at all in this movie. And arguably, Shiki's actually still got quite a good fruit. Like the float fruit is actually quite a cool one to have. I am curious at how it works
would
alongside.
explain why he can walk on swords.
Yeah. Yeah. Man just like flying everywhere. He doesn't even need the he doesn't even need the sword legs. He
Yeah,
can just fly. And yeah, because it was he said like he can only make it work on himself and objects, so he can't use it on humans. Which is fair. That's a good thing. And then because you have to think of like the contrast of his fruit versus like Fujitora's, for example, who is
yeah,
pure gravity, but but Fujitora can also make things float. So when you compare the two devil fruits, like because at one point Fujitora is flying around this like piece of rock that he's like, yeah, cool, because I
yeah.
control gravity, I can do whatever I want. And like Shiki's over there with like, hey, I can make things float, and Fujitora's like, well, I can do that and more. So like Shiki's kind of like done over there as well.
Well, we all know that devil fruits aren't made equally.
No, that's that's another thing as well. There's like so many different. There's so much to the One Piece series as well, which is
I mean, like,
we still don't know about,
yeah.
especially with
And
Devil
I mean,
Fruits.
you got to think about it. Like they're not all made the same because fucking Luffy went from just rubber boy to a god,
God,
and you're
yeah,
just
some
like,
and then like
what?
who's like it's imagination, so he can just do whatever he wants, but
Yeah, he
he's
turned
like
into
still
Looney
this.
Tunes.
Yeah, it's
So
great.
what you gonna do?
And even at that point, I don't. I'm not even sure if Oda had that planned out that far ahead when
No, he
he was
probably
right when he came up with the idea of Strong
probably
World as
wasn't.
well. Um, but I feel that was my biggest gripe with Strong World. I think
Mm,
that was the only thing going back on it, and I feel like I hyped myself up a little bit because I've always said Strong World is my favorite One Piece
mm-hmm.
movie, and realistically, everything apart from that still holds up. I still think the story is good there. Like it's a typical what is One Piece about? It's Luffy
Yeah.
go liberate a bunch of islands, saving the East Blue. He was even willing to go back to the East Blue to stop like these islands from getting attacked.
Mm.
He was willing to go back at that point, but luckily he didn't have to because then they found Shiki's behind it, so it's all good.
See, I enjoyed this film for what it was because it's kind of the same reason I like Daima and like those other kind of it like went back to basics. It was like
Yes, yeah.
it was back in the simpler times, and I was like, you know, as much as there's like Gear Fifth and stuff, and now there's like evolved devil fruits and whatever. I'm kind of like I do kind of miss the time before all of that, where it's just like just
Hmm.
devil fruits and everyone else. There's just this one power set. We're like, there's no hockey, there's no all this other shit, and you're just like,
Yeah.
it's still quite enjoyable because like I don't need to understand a power system. It's just
Yeah.
it just happens. They just fight. It's
It was
nice.
scaled back, weren't it? Yeah, it's mad when you look back at it, and I think that's the difference between like pre time skip One Piece and post time skip One Piece. There's a bunch more layers
Yeah.
to it, and in post time skip, and that could be like, don't get me wrong, I'm a massive One Piece fan, and I'll always like shout its praises. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff which you feel like, oh, I do sometimes miss the vibe of old school One Piece, where
Yeah.
there's a certain aspect of it which you do kind of miss. It does like new One Piece doesn't have the same vibe as old One Piece, but sometimes it's like, is that a good thing or bad thing? I feel like there could be good and bad points to it.
Mm.
There's
I I did find it really funny though, the as much as I'm like, yeah, it was a simpler whatever, it's like it's still fighting the thoughts in my mind that I'm like, why does why does Robin not use Fishman? Like why is she not just kicking the shit out of these enemies? She knows Fishman karate. I'm
yeah.
like, no, she doesn't, not yet. And then it's like, why does Frankie not just like fucking shoot everything up? Why does he run out of ammo? And I'm like, not yet.
Yeah, that's it. You forget how realistically modern Frankie, though I don't like his design as much as like pre-time skip Frankie. Pre-time skip Frankie was like, oh, I've got to refuel the cola, otherwise I can't fight.
Yeah.
Is also like a massive detriment when you think about it
Mm.
compared to what he's like now. Again, I still feel like Frankie needs a lot more love post time skip. I feel like he deserves better.
I tell
But
you, one character that surprisingly did more than I expected is
mhm.
Usopp actually was doing stuff in this movie.
Yeah, he does.
Whereas normally Usopp is just like a sniveling fool that doesn't do anything.
Hmm.
But this time around, like him and Sanji, they're running and he's still
Hmm.
firing shots and like taking stuff down and he's actually doing stuff. And I'm like, why can he not do this all the time?
Yeah. It's where what is it? It's him and Chopper on like he's like riding Chopper into
Yeah.
like to go save Nami and he's like just shooting stuff and like they're doing that thing. It's like they could easily Chopper and Usopp could easily
Yeah.
team up in post time skip and do all of this, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I feel this is the one thing with it as well, because One Piece is so hyper focused on what its strongest characters are
Yeah.
now, which are Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei, and Luffy. And then the rest of them are all still play their part, but probably not as much as they would have had done in
Mm.
pre-time skip because they're kind of just like Usopp isn't the strong. He's never gonna be up in those top four characters, and like neither's Nami or Chopper. Even Frankie and Brooke kind of like Robin's relevant because of like
Yeah.
there's so much going on in law right now. She can like she lends herself really well.
Well, also she can actually handle herself. Again, she learned Fishman karate, so she can fight. And Brook is a pretty good swordsman in his own right.
Yeah, I think this is the one thing, like, when it comes down to it, I think Robin, Brooke, Frankie, and this is the one thing, arguably Chopper as well, 'cause all of these people can handle themselves in a fight. All of them can.
Yeah, but Chopper isn't typically written that way. That's the
No,
problem.
he isn't. Like, Chopper, Nami, and Usopp are all written to be like, oh, they're not the strongest, so they kind of like it's a thing where oh, the weakling trio is what they used to
Yeah.
be called.
It's so funny. We've got the monster trio and the weakling trio. Like,
Yeah, because that was what when Usopp came back from like in post time skip, he was like, "Hey, Nami, I'm not gonna be part of the weakling trio with you and Chopper anymore. I'm gonna be strong." And then he just turned into the same guy anyway.
yeah, that frustrates me
But
to
like
no end.
Usopp still he has his good points. But I feel like at this point, sometimes it's plot devicey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's certain bits, like in Dressrosa, for example, where like he became God Usopp. You know what I mean? And he has that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Like he has his moments. He has his moments, and but no, he does come across quite well in this, and I think a lot of the Straw Hats do. The gun scene is wild, where they all just
Oh, yeah.
like
Dude, that was my favorite scene because it's like, they all walking up. And obviously, because I played Yakuza, so I was like, yo, this
yeah,
looks fucking sick. And then
yeah,
for some, it's Luffy doing that typical, he's got his jacket over his shoulders and he's got like,
hmm
he's resting his arm on the butt of the gigantic gun, absolutely comically big. And, he's got one arm like over his stomach, like tucked in, and he's just walking. He's got that real like Yakuza vibe.
hmm
And then they're just like, Nami's the Nami was sent as the vanguard. We're the main force, and it's just like, and just starts
Yeah, and then
shooting
they
up the
just like
place.
just shoot it up. It's something that's so out of like out like it's not One Piece at all at times. Like
Yeah,
because they would never like it's these guys have their own ways of fighting. Zoro uses swords, Sanji uses
yeah.
kicks and
All of
stuff like
these
that.
guys
But they
having
all just
guns. You're
walk
just
in.
like, what the fuck? I was
fuck?
actually surprised that they hit anything. Do you know what I mean? I would have, I would have been like, okay, cool. Give every single gun to Usopp, and he'll probably do it.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
sniper, but like everyone else actually making shots, you're like, okay, a bit of a stretch,
Yeah.
but
I mean, to be fair with that, it's like they have got like these just massive guns. They're just like probably just firing it. Like, there's no aiming. It's just like
yeah,
just fire in the direction of all these
spray and pray in
pirates.
it.
Yeah, and I remember like that was when this was first being advertised when the trailer dropped for One Piece Strong World. The big moment of it was seeing these like the whole Straw Hat crew minus Nami come through and be like, "Let's do this!" and just walk in with these guns. And
Say
stuff.
hello to my little friend.
Yeah, it is proper like Scarface. So just like they're there in their freaking suits, just ripping into all these guys.
That's the other thing I want to
And
know. Where they get all these
yeah,
suits? Where's the rest of them get these suits from? You know what I mean?
yeah, that's the point. Yeah, who made these? Are you
Like,
telling me the winged villagers are they the ones that made
do
this?
you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't believe that Luffy owns a suit.
Yeah, no. The only people there that probably like Sanji's probably the only one because Brooke ain't gonna own a separate suit. Like this is one. This is one thing though is that like each of these One Piece movies has a separate design.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they all wear you like to just separate them a little bit. I think Dragon Ball does the same thing occasionally where
So
like
yeah.
they'll just have the characters dressed up in like casual wear or something like that and like at some points One Piece characters would just be wearing like festival wear randomly for or like some
But
kind
like
of
the thing
different
is,
outfit and
some locations I can understand, but it's
mhm.
things like that where I'm like, I don't believe that the whole crew went out and just bought suits
Yeah.
for this one occasion. Maybe
Yeah,
they
where
stole
they
them.
find it.
Like they beat up some guys. They stole suits that
Like the
fit.
Yakuza
Maybe.
probably like because that's one thing
Yeah.
because like obviously Frankie, Robin, and Brooke did enter the was that meeting beforehand, didn't
Yeah.
they? And then Like they probably could have stole suits from there, maybe. Like
That's what
I
I'm
don't know.
thinking.
Maybe there's a
But like,
yeah, must be right. Yeah.
I I besides Nami and Robin, I can't imagine many of the other Straw Hats going out specifically and being like, right, we need to buy matching outfits for the
Yeah.
occasion and the location because we gotta look fresh and styling. Right, we gotta get that drip.
Make sure they're tailored as well. Make sure this sits like Usopp. You want armor, yeah? Do you want like what would you want like a helmet and like a
Yeah, you
breastplate
know
and
what
stuff
I
like
mean?
that? Get this man a breastplate and a helmet. Yeah, get this guy the reindeer too. We want him in the drip. Get the reindeer in the drip right now.
But you know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't believe a lot of the Straw Hats are like, yeah, that's
Nah,
a shout.
Alison.
Let's go sort out our outfits.
Oh man. But yeah, all in all, like because you're one that's like you've watched a lot of Dragon Ball movies,
Yes.
and now this is your first One Piece movie, first taste of it anyway. How do you feel it compares as of like right now with your first one?
I think it's pretty good. I would say it's kind of like a Trio Might, like one of those early films. Like maybe like a Lord Slug, you know?
Yeah,
Ones where they're like close to where everything changes and you're like, "Oh, so this was before that."
yeah, yeah.
It's kind of around there. They're pretty good. It's enjoyable even even if you like mostly don't pay attention and like try not to canonize or like, oh, it fits in this part of the timeline. This is exactly when this happens. I like it. I think it's a very enjoyable film. I enjoyed it more than I think I remember enjoying some of the Naruto movies. Yeah.
It's good. It's a good start then. Yeah, I will go to say as well that I think the animation in this is really good for its time as well.
Yeah,
2009, bear in mind.
it's quite good.
Some good stuff there.
I only saw
The
some
battles are good. Yeah.
a few goofy things here and there.
Yeah.
Well,
There's I think
just the
like
way it is, isn't it?
yeah, there's obviously like I don't think it's a perfect film. There's a lot of flaws with it right now. But that is I'm gonna put that down to the time it was made rather
Yeah.
than looking at it currently. And again, because this isn't part of the main series, this is a movie at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna like there's certain bits where I have to be like, oh, I don't think this holds up well. But I'm also like, it's a movie, you know what I mean? All these anime movies, they have the
Yeah.
same kind of thing.
It
But
doesn't
yeah,
it doesn't have to fit in with the rest of it.
yeah. I still enjoyed it for what it is. I think the music was quite fun in it as well.
Yeah.
Seeing all these animals turn up, like again, the creature design, the world design in this movie is good. The floating island thing is a cool idea.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I mean, I thought the animals are kind of funny to see because knowing what we know, it kind of feels like, foreshadowing for when
yeah,
Luffy has to train on the island with the
in it, yeah.
animals for 2 years. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like, hey, Luffy, keep this in your brain, boy. You're gonna be doing this again.
Yeah. Part of me was like thinking when I was watching this movie is like, remember like in Odyssey, One Piece Odyssey, they have a
Yeah.
lot of the original creature designs were designed by Oda as well. So like a lot of it, I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if like all those creatures from Strongworld were also like
The ones in
enemies in
Odyssey.
Odyssey?
That would have been really cool. I mean, we did see scorpions and things.
I think
And
that's it because
monkey.
there were some great designs in Odyssey because obviously Oda created
Yeah.
all those designs for the enemies as well. And part of me is like, imagine if you had that, but like combine the two. So like there were those, like you could have had a whole range of other enemies that are in there from
Hmm.
like, oh look, it's a callback to Strongworld or whatever, or like any other films. Like because
See, but now you've said that, I would have loved it if I don't know that I'll still say this with the other films,
hmm
but
hmm
I would I would have kind of liked it if Odyssey also had like, oh, do you remember this? And it's just the movies, you know? Like,
like kind of like like Sparking Zero has its
yeah,
like movie bit things. Like
yeah,
it just
they're
I
kind of
think
like
that's
that.
it kind of is something that doesn't get referenced much in One Piece games. Like, I think the only time we've really seen Shiki as a playable character, I think, is in a couple of the DS ones and 3DS ones. So it's not a lot. We are getting the enemy from film Z in Pirate Warriors 4 as DLC very soon. So we can talk about that a bit more in the next
Yeah.
episode because that's the next film we'll be watching.
Oh man, spoilers.
But yeah, they don't really reference many of the One Piece films in video games, and I feel like maybe that's because it's so focused on where the series is at right now that they don't really feel like
I
they need to
mean,
focus on film stuff.
yes,
But like,
I understand that, but like considering it literally goes back to Alabasta, I think you could still just be like, hey, do you remember that time we fought Golden Lion Shiki?
yeah, I mean, like the whole like strong world bit, like it would like the final battle area where it's like basically Shiki's castle thing,
Yeah.
like and beating thousands of enemies would be really cool in a Pirate Warriors game. It really sets it up
Do you know what
quite
I
well
mean?
for
Like,
it.
I
Yeah.
feel like, especially in a Pirate Warriors, you could do that because it's, well, I mean, like, who cares? You just chuck loads of enemies and then it's like, there's the boss. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Just put them in suits. There's like going to be like ones that are a bit more
yeah.
powerful. There's like
And like,
yeah,
in
it works
in
really well.
Odyssey, I feel like it only would work because they were like, oh, we have to do the
Mhm.
memories to get our
Yeah.
memories back so we can do the fights properly. So you could just add these extra ones as a fun little like if you know kind of thing,
Mm.
And then
Oh
fans like
yeah.
me who haven't seen the movie will go and ask a fan like you who knows, and then I'll be like, okay, I need to go and see this thing now because do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I
I've
feel like
never
it's a
thought of
missed
it like I do
opportunity.
feel like I actually agree with you. Yeah, I feel like there is like a lot of there's a lot of potential to show off One Piece movies in video games and stuff. I feel like I think actually most of the movie villains make an appearance in one game or another. Like
Mhm.
usually when that game's released.
Yeah.
Like for example, Uta is a playable character in Pirate Warriors 4 as well. So that's another movie character that's playable in game.
Mm.
And the villain from film Gold is also in a 3DS game. Remember those Dragon Ball ones, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Butoden
yeah.
ones? They made a One Piece version as well. He's playable in that. I think the only one that hasn't been the playable game is playable in a game is enemy from the villain from Stampede, but we'll get through to that at some point as well.
Ah, yes, Mr. Stampede.
Mr. Stamp, yeah. Hmm.
Stampede Summer.
But is there anything else you want to bring up about this film before we wrap this up, Nathan?
I would recommend I would recommend you go watch it. It's a fun film. It really is. It's a
Yeah.
nice little side story in, pre-time skip. So even though the stakes actually felt very good for that time, you know.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
You
I think
wouldn't send Gear Third Luffy against like world-ending stakes because he would lose.
yeah, it does feel like I think for its time, like if you're making your way through One Piece, I think this is a great way. Like after you finish Thriller Bark, head in, watch Film Gold. Film Gold. No, don't watch that one. Watch
Strong
watch
World.
Strong World. Yeah, watch Strong World. Give that a watch before you move on to the next arcs following that. Like it's a great one to watch. Like, but after you finish Thriller Bark, because then you can see Brook. Then you know the
Mm.
context there and it's the perfect timing for it. That's the perfect place for it. But yeah, I would 100% recommend it as well. Like again, I'll hold my thoughts to see if it will still be my favorite One Piece film after we've watched all of them. That might change in the next few weeks. We'll soon see.
I too shall hold my thoughts because this is my favorite so far.
Yeah, but we'll close up this episode there. Thank you for listening, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button for future Culture Boys videos. Check links in our description for the podcast platforms. They're all there. And we see you guys next time for another Cultured Boys episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.